You ever been scrolling on TikTok and then you see those videos that are like, there's a guy sitting on the edge of his bed and he's like, I didn't want to get up today and I wanted to kill myself, but I locked in to go to school and do Algebra 2. You've probably seen those videos. And listen, to all you guys out there who think that you need to lock in to do the most basic task in the world, the only way that you can go ahead and like drink a sip of water is to like lock in. Something's wrong, okay? When you become obsessed with the idea of having to lock in or having to develop 100% of focus in order to get anything done, then you're not so much looking at the goal that you have to accomplish, but you're looking at the process by which you're going to complete that goal. Then you're obsessed with creating your environment. You know, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I turn my phone into grayscale. I got a dumb phone. And you get into this loop of trying to min-max your life so that you can be productive, rather than actually just being productive. So how do we stop this whole lock-in syndrome? The actual cure is not locking in, but it's a little thing I like to call, what do I like to call it? The actual solution is to orient your life so that there is no need to lock in. You've already been locked in for your entire since you wake up to the time that you go to sleep, okay? I kind of touched on this in a previous video that I had made, but if you're at the point where your day-to-day existence is purely just pain, suffering, and torture, and you trying to do anything that is productive in your day-to-day life is horrible, that's not how it's supposed to be, okay? Everybody who's successful, who's actually doing something that they want to do, they don't wake up thinking, holy fuck, my life is gonna suck today, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they do, okay? Maybe there's some people out there that do, but the reason why they're that successful and they're able to operate like that for not just, you know, a month or 3 months, but for their entire lives is because being successful to them is as easy as it is for you to wake up and like go on your computer, scroll on TikTok, and play video games all day. They've oriented themselves so that their habits and their everyday routines automatically are conducive to being productive or completing some sort of goal. So what does that mean? Does that mean that I have to wake up and I have to take cold showers every single day and run a mile as soon as I wake up? No, that's not what that means. Now, all those things that I just said are helpful to do because it builds up your ability to just shut up and do things that you don't want to do, which everyone's gonna have to do things that we don't want to do. Of course, anything that produces great success or, you know, rewards someone with a lot of money and everything like that is of course going to be difficult. There's gonna be some friction, but you can reduce that difficulty as much as you can to make doing those things as easy as possible and as actually achievable as possible. Now, for all the negative and kind of boring things that you have to do in your day-to-day, you can either just eliminate those negative things, like, so let's say I'm feeling like garbage all the time because I'm eating McDonald's. Well, maybe I can just go to the grocery store, buy some healthy food. Suddenly, I'll start feeling a lot better. So either you can eliminate the negatives out of your life completely, or what you can do instead is reframe your mind so that these negative things, like, let's say, filing your taxes or, you know, filling out some stupid form or studying, any of these things, reframe it so that these negative things are no longer just, you know, little torturous spikes that are constantly hitting you every day, but instead, these are just a necessary component on the road to success. You can kind of think of all of these small negative things as a book or a movie that you watch, right? Why do we ever read books or watch movies instead of just going on Wikipedia and reading this plot summary in a paragraph? You know, it'll save so much more time, and objectively, we kind of walk away with the same amount of information. However, in that movie or book, you're not just trying to get to the very essence of the information, okay? You can pack a whole lot more in there that makes the final outcome or the final product so much more rewarding and enjoyable. And that's the same exact thing with life, okay? If you're doing anything in your life, those small little mundane moments aren't actually completely bad. Okay, it's those moments actually that are so critical to building up to the final result. Not everyone gets that email in their inbox that's like, hey, my name's Bill Gates. I saw your Twitter account. I'm gonna give you 15 Bitcoin to go and do your adventure. No journey starts like that. Usually it starts out with something really boring, like, hey, I spent like the past 6 months like cold emailing. Then I worked my ass off there for like, 2 years. They connected me with some other. Now I'm, making 6 figures on my way. The story to success is actually a lot more boring and not exciting as you would think it is. Now, at the same time, okay, you can't just min-max your life entirely to where you're constantly working 24/7. Okay, we're like sponges. We'll get squished, and sooner or later, we can't compress anymore before we turn into a black hole and destroy everything around us. You gotta de-stress. So feel free to, play your video games and stuff like that. People have their vices and their things that they use to de-stress. However, it's not so simple as just doing whatever that's separate from work, okay? Ideally, you would want to line up these things that you de-stress with things that also add some sort of tangible benefit to other areas in your life. Because our life, as it exists, it's not just comprised of like our ultimate end goal of like whatever we're trying to accomplish in the next 10 years. It's also so many other things, right? So maybe in my spare time, maybe I'll do some music, play some guitar or piano, and that kind of fulfills a more spiritual side of us that is very important, by the way. Do not neglect the mental or spiritual self, okay? It's as important as the physical self and the self that is doing all of your hopes and ambitions. Or maybe I'll play video games because it helps me, connect with my friends in a certain way, or experience some like cool story that I never would have before. Now, some people, they do hard drugs to try to decompress. And listen, while that might be a way to de-stress, one, it's really expensive, okay? It costs a lot of money. Two, it's incredibly unhealthy for you, okay? It's not sustainable in the long run. And three, it can become something that you are dependent on and addicted on. And then that just takes away from your entire quality of life. So those little short-term benefits that you get from doing hard drugs in the long run, actually, those short-term benefits are just going down. It's a downward slope. So de-stress. Don't just become obsessed with trying to constantly work hard, okay? Because that's not what life is all about. At the same time, everything that I just talked about relies on the fact that you are an accurate and trustworthy person who can objectively judge what is good for your life, and then you can orient everything to kind of point towards that good thing. Now, this of course requires a lot of, introspection, a lot of spiritual thinking, okay? And that's why it's also important to do some other activities that aren't just related to like your career or your job or whatever, so that you can also grow and develop as a person. However, sometimes these new insights can cause us to change our roadmap in life. Maybe we had the goal that we wanted to become the best chef in the world, and then suddenly, in our times off of doing painting, we suddenly realized that actually, the only reason why I like cooking is because I like the presentation of it. So why don't I just go the extra step? I don't really care about food that much. Why don't I just become a visual artist? And then you're gonna change your goals in that way. That's totally fine. And at the same time, it's also encouraged because you don't want to end up stuck in some area of your life that 30 years later is going to bring you absolutely nothing, no joy. And so you're just left sitting there being like, well, shit, I just ruined my life. So everything that I just talked about, the orienting your life so that your everyday habits become something that are conducive towards achieving your goals, that all of the negative kind of things in your life, you change your perspective or just get rid of them so that you're suddenly more positive day to day. And the little moments that you get to kind of de-stress, all of that in your life has to be malleable to some extent, because these are subject to change. You're not going to be doing the same exact thing day in and day out to get to your final result, okay? Your final end game can change, and so your plans that work towards that end goal will also change with it. So This is why you can't be those, listen, these people get me the most, okay? Sometimes you're gonna have things that you will do on a schedule every single day, like classes or work, work goes 9 to 5, whatever. But your entire life shouldn't be blocked out in a Google Calendar schedule, like, okay, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., that's when I'll study, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., that's when I'll eat, 7 p.m., I'll go and shower. No, that's not, no, calm down, okay? Stop doing that, stop. What you need to be doing is be able to adapt and be able to change, okay? Because if you're stuck in this really regimented schedule, as soon as a little something goes wrong, your entire life collapses. Like, oh, I couldn't make it to the gym in the morning like I usually do on Friday, so on Saturday, I might as well just not do it because I told myself that on the weekends I won't work out, and then Monday it's been 4 days since I've gone to the gym, so I might as well just not go. No, stop, okay? Just be a little bit more adaptive. Being adaptive is the number one thing that people want. When engineers build a bridge and everything, they don't choose the stiffest material, okay? Skyscrapers can wobble and bend, bridges can wobble, okay? You need to be able to take some of that pressure on. So don't be afraid to also, in this whole scheme, let things be subject to change and evolve. Also, a side note, I think I'm going to go back to doing everything on paper, man. I wrote the entire idea for this video on paper, and it's pretty freaking cool. Something about just, having it physically kind of makes it, more engaging than an iPad or text document, whatever. Okay, that's it.